So, Colin, nice to meet you and thank you for coming on to share a project mistake all the way from Australia. So, Colin, what's a project mistake that you have been personally involved with or that you couldn't blame on anybody else? Okay.
Not that I would blame my
No, of
mistakes on
course
anybody
not.
else, Frank. Of course, a project manager definitely shouldn't do that.
No.
I often when I talk about kind of how I got to do what I do now, it's because I made mistakes and didn't repeat the same ones. And I think one of my, the mistake that I made very early on in my project management career, I was a project manager for year 2000. Some of us will remember year 2000. And like most people, fell into project management by accident. So for me, I was good with people, good with teams. Some others are good with planning and methods. I was good with people and teams. And I was managing a team of software developers and infrastructure engineers who've got quite the opposite personality to the one that I've got, Frank. They're all quiet and introverted, and I'm like Tigger bouncing down a corridor. And we had a really tight deadline to meet, and my job, much like most project managers' job, is to motivate and inspire a team to do great things. I
Yeah.
often say we're in the leadership and communication business, and I try whatever I could. I just couldn't get a message through to them. And I remember, kind of losing my temper a little bit with my boss and saying, listen, I was like, these guys are idiots. I was like, you put me in to work with these people. You said it's my job to motivate them. I said, but whatever I do, I just can't get through to them. He said, what have you done so far? I was like, well, I talked honestly about the challenges that we faced. I got them involved in planning workshops, and asked them to share what their risks were and what their fears were. I said, I got nothing back. I said I arranged drinks at the end of the day, to try and break the ice between members of the team. I was like, only
Yeah.
one of them turned up. I was like, they're idiots. He said, and he said to me, he said, have you ever thought that the idiot might be you? And of course, I hadn't thought of that, Frank. I thought that everyone else was the idiot early on in my project management career. I was like, what do you mean? He said, you just think that you can deliver a message in the way that you think is the right way to do it without even thinking about the way that other people are processing information. Now, I'd never thought of that at all. I'd never even entered my head. I had a job to do. I was going to do it. And he said, these guys don't process information in the way that you do. He said, they don't like to be put on the spot. He said, they like to take time to think about things.
Yeah.
They like to be invited into conversations. They like to be given something to read or think about ahead. And they maybe even like to kind of ask you questions before the meeting. He said, you're going about it in completely the wrong way. He said, why don't you sit down with the team, ask them how they like to be communicated to, and then you modify your style. And I was like, I don't want to change who I am. I've been kind of recruited to, be a good leader and all of that stuff. He's
Yeah.
like,
That's
you're
who you
not
were hired.
changing. Yeah. He said, you're not changing who you are. You're not changing your values. You're not changing what you stand for. What you're doing is thinking about the way that other people like to process information. He said, and you're going to change your approach to deliver it in the way that they want to hear it and not the way that you want to say it. And he said, it's a life lesson. He said, and when you get this right, he's like, you'll be a great communicator for the rest of your life. And, it was a big mistake that I made early on in assuming that people processed
Wow.
information in the way that I did. And it was a valuable lesson to learn from.
God, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. This is going to go down very well. It reminds me of that saying once what I heard. If you meet one idiot in the morning, then maybe you're doing okay. But if every person you meet in the day is an idiot, then perhaps it's you are the idiot. So that's
Well,
what I,
it's and since then, obviously, in the work that I do now, Frank, I talk about the fact that self-aware individuals are the building block of great project teams, and of course they are. And it absolutely has to start with the project manager and the project sponsor. Those two there are only two reasons for project failure, right? And project manager and project sponsor. And they have to role model what they expect of everyone else, particularly with regards to emotional intelligence. And of course, a big part of that is communication.
good. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Colin D Ellis. Okay. Good.